Myth number 9. Rich people are lucky. Here's something that sounds impossible until you actually sit with it. The people who literally win the lottery, handed millions of dollars for doing nothing, most of them are broke again within 5 years. Broke. After winning millions. If luck was the real answer, they would have stayed rich, but they didn't. And that single fact breaks the whole myth wide open. What most people call luck is actually something they just didn't see. We didn't witness Bezos spending years quietly studying where the internet was heading before anyone else cared. Oprah packed up and moved cities alone, chasing a radio job that nobody thought she would land. The preparation, the positioning, the years of consistency showing up. None of that was visible, only the moment it all clicked, and people call it luck. Think of it like farming. You spend years preparing the soil, building the skill, the knowledge, and the positioning. When opportunity finally rains down, you're the only one ready to grow. The people watching from the outside just see the rain. Myth number 8. Money is evil. Let me bust something that has been quietly messing with people's relationship to money for generations. The phrase most people have heard of their whole lives, money is the root of all evil. And that's actually not what was written. But the real quote says, the love of money is the root of all evil. One phrase got dropped somewhere along the way, and that single missing phrase rewired generations of people to feel guilt the moment they started wanting more. That guilt is silent and is deadly. Here's the simplest way to see money for what it really is. Money is like a magnifying glass. Whatever's already inside you, generosity, kindness, greed, selfishness, money just makes it bigger. A generous person with money builds hospitals. Meanwhile, a selfish person with more money just buys more things. The money itself isn't doing anything wrong. It just amplifies who you already are. Now ask yourself honestly, who first told you that wanting money was bad? Most of the time it traces back to someone who was struggling. They weren't trying to hold you back. That was their way of making peace with not having enough. Wanting more doesn't make you greedy. Staying broke doesn't make you good. Money gives you options. Not having it gives you none. Myth number 7. Investing needs big money. What if the amount you invest barely matters, and the only thing that actually matters is when you start? Picture this. You're 23. Money feels tight, and investing feels like something you'll get around to later once you earn more. 28 arrives, same story. 32 comes, and you're still saying the same thing. Meanwhile, someone who started putting away just $50 a month at 22, less than most people spend on streaming services, quietly watches that grow past hundreds of thousands of dollars over 30 years. Not because they had more money than you, because they started earlier and let time do the heavy lifting. Warren Buffett bought his first stock at 11 years old with $38. He didn't wait until he had enough. Starting with what he had was the whole point. And here's what nobody really talks about. Starting small isn't just about the money. It builds the identity of someone who invests. Once you think of yourself as an investor, even with $50, your decisions start to change. You read differently. Spending habits shift. You start making moves that compound just like the money does. Myth number 6. Debt is always bad. Here's something that might sound completely backwards. The wealthiest people and companies in the world are often carrying enormous amounts of debt on purpose. Apple, one of the richest companies in history, carries billions of dollars in debt by choice. Not because they're struggling, because they understand something most people never learned. There are two completely different types of debt. Treating them the same is like treating a kitchen knife and a surgeon's scalpel the same just because they're both sharp. The first type is what drains you. Credit card debt for things that lose value the moment you get them home. Car loans on vehicles that depreciate from day one. Buy now, pay later, on stuff that brings you zero financial return. This kind bleeds you slowly, and most people know it all too well. The second type is a completely different animal. It buys something that pays you back. A property where the rent covers the mortgage and puts extra money in your pocket. or a loan used to start something that earns more than it costs. The one question wealthy people always ask is dead simple. Does this debt earn me more than it costs? If yes, it's a tool. Otherwise, it's a trap. The real problem: nobody teaches you this difference, so you end up avoiding all debt, including the kind that could actually work for you. Myth number 5. Work harder, earn more. You've probably felt this at some point. Working harder than ever before. Longer hours, less sleep, more effort, and your bank account looks almost exactly the same as last month. You start wondering if maybe you're just not pushing hard enough. But here's the truth. That's not the problem. A surgeon and a janitor both show up every single day. Both are doing real, legitimate work, but one earns significantly more. Not because they mop harder, but because they spent 10 years building a skill so valuable that the market pays a serious premium for it. Hard work alone didn't separate them. Leverage did. And look, there's a ceiling nobody warned you about when you're young: your body. There are 24 hours in a day. If every single dollar you earned required an hour of your time, your income can never grow beyond your available hours. Not a strategy, just a very effective trap. The shift that changes everything is going from selling your time to building things that work without you. A business, an investment, a product you sell, skills with multipliers attached to them. Every wealthy person eventually makes this move. They used hard work to build the system, and then the system kept running on its own. Working harder on the wrong thing just gets you to the wrong place faster. Myth number 4. Get a safe job. And here's the most uncomfortable truth on this entire list. The thing you were told was the safest financial decision you could make: a stable job, a steady paycheck, a secure career, might actually be one of the riskiest financial positions you can put yourself in. One income, a single boss who can let you go on Tuesday morning with no real warning, zero control over your own salary ceiling for your future. Imagine spending 15 years at the same company. You show up early, stay late, miss weekends, build your whole life around that one paycheck, and then one morning there's a meeting and your position is eliminated. Not because you failed, because the company decided to restructure. That's not a horror story. It's been happening to millions of people for decades. And your salary, no matter how well you perform, it's almost never reflective of the actual value you create. You could generate $500,000 in value for your company and take home $60,000. That is the agreement you quietly signed. Look, a job is not your enemy. Plenty of wealthy people started with one, but they used it as a launch pad, not a destination. The paycheck funded their investments, built their skills, and grew something on the side. Because nobody has ever built true financial freedom on a salary alone. Myth number 3. Follow your passion. There's a piece of advice you've probably heard since you were a teenager. Find your passion and the money will follow. It sounds beautiful. You've probably seen it on printed motivational pictures or graduation speeches or read it in Instagram captions. But for most people, it's quietly dangerous advice. A researcher spent years studying people who absolutely love their work. People who wake up genuinely excited on a Monday. What he found completely flipped the conventional wisdom upside down. Almost none of them started out passionate about what they do now. They got really, really good at something, and then the passion followed. Mastery came first, passion came after, not the other way around. Here's why that hits differently. Millions of people are passionate about music, travel, fitness, and art. Very few of them earn well from it. Not because they don't care deeply, because passion alone doesn't create value in the market. Skill does. Rare ability does. A paying audience does. The wealthy ask a completely different question. Not, what am I passionate about? But what does the market actually need that I can get exceptional at that I won't hate doing? That one shift in the question leads to a completely different destination. Myth number 2. Your house is an asset. What if the biggest financial decision most people ever make, buying a home, isn't actually building wealth the way everyone assumes it is. Here's the simplest test you can run. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. That's the whole definition. Now look at your home. Every month, there's a mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, and repairs. That money flows out consistently, month after month. But that definition, your home is a liability, not an asset. Now, before you think I'm saying don't buy a home, that's not the point here. But there's a number that most people never actually look at. A house bought for $400,000 25 years ago might be worth $900,000 today. It sounds incredible, but add up the mortgage interest, the property taxes, the insurance, and the years of maintenance, and the real return often barely beats just parking that same money into a basic stock market index fund. But here's what really hits. Until your mortgage is fully paid off, you don't actually own the house. The bank does. You're essentially paying rent to the bank, plus handling all the repairs that they'd normally be responsible for. A rental property that pays you every single month, that's an asset. Your primary home is a comfortable, meaningful place to live. Those two things are not the same, no matter what everyone around you has always believed. Myth number 1. I can't afford it. 3 words are quietly keeping you poor, and it's not the economy, not your income level, not bad luck. 3 words you've probably said this week without even thinking twice. I can't afford it. The moment those words leave your mouth, your brain hears a final answer. Searching stops, the door closes, and your mind just moves on. Most of the time, if you're honest with yourself, it's not even true. I can't afford to invest. But that same person is spending close to $200 a month on subscriptions that they forgot about, food delivery services on lazy nights, and random impulse buys online. That's not a money problem. It's a priorities problem, wearing the costume of a money problem. Robert Kiyosaki makes a point about this that's hard to shake. He says wealthy people never say, I can't afford it. Instead, they ask, how can I afford it? Same situation, completely different instructions sent to your brain. One is a wall, the other forces your brain to actually look for a door. And here's what most people miss. The words you use around money are quietly building your identity. Say, I can't afford it enough times, and that's who you become. Someone who can't.